You can get all your turtley needs at Entertainment Earth at the link in the description.
Kaiju, turtles, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey, howdy, hey there, collectors. It's Steven here, and today we're going to be taking a look at another reptile. Go ahead and correct me in the comments, because we always love those corrections. Today we're going to be taking a look at Super7's TMNT Ultimates from Wave 4 Mondo Gecko. Fantastic. Everybody loves a skateboarding radical dude. Kind of fits in with Michelangelo, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he does. I think they go pretty well together, even if it's not canon. Anyway, Mondo Gecko was something that was really looked forward to from a lot of collectors, and there was a little bit of backlash when we saw the prototype. Not enough blue on the eyes, we had different colored bands, there wasn't a blue stripe on the stomach, and from yours truly doing some own research, it did look like there were two different Playmates figures that were released, because if you didn't know, the Ultimates figures are meant to be tributes to the original Playmates, but updated to modern standards. Anyway, it looked like there were two different Playmates figures released, and this was based off of one that apparently was not too popular, but it was corrected for the final release. Now, with that being said, collectors finally have this guy in hand, and oh boy, we got a little bit to talk about. At least I do for my figure. Remember, if I got this, there's a chance you could have gotten it as well. Let's take a look to see whether or not Mondo Gecko is going to be worth adding into your collection. Mondo Gecko's totally tubular, and he's going to be out skateboarding and doing all that fun stuff in the sewer, bruh. If you're going to be doing athletics, you need to wash your shirt. Not going to lie, I opened this guy up out of the box, and my eyeballs pretty much bulged out of my head. Quality control in terms of sculpt and paint. Sculpt, fine. There's actually a whole lot of details, and I'm really, really impressed the way that they were able to get all of those small scales on such a small frame. Mondo Gecko is small, and you're going to see that in the size comparison coming up. So I'm really impressed that they were able to get the finer details here. We do have little buttons on the hat, which look really great. We are going to have elbow pads and shoes, which look really, really cool. Generally speaking, sculpt, again, impressive. Paint, I don't know how the shirt got past quality control. The emblem on the shirt, that is actually, I don't use this word pretty much ever. It's perfect. Nothing is out of place except for where it needs to be, because it's kind of that grungy look. But I mean, up close and personal here on this shot, which unfortunately my camera likes to do weird things, it probably doesn't look the best. You can definitely see there are some real quality control issues. You can see that there are indents here and there. You can see that there's paint chips. You can see the one shoulder joint, there's chipped paint already. That's something I would expect from a $30 NECA, not something in the Super7 range, which I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say that. That's rather disappointing. I really didn't get a good shot of it, just because I think I proved my point here well enough, and you'd believe me. There's a good amount of spray on the back of his neck. You can see that there's even chunks of paint missing when we take a look at the back shot. Yeah, it sucks that I'm harping on just this one section, but the torso, it's pretty big on a figure this small, and yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. You can even see what looks like a little bit of a bristle hair, brush hair, whatever you want to call it, closer to the collar on the shirt. So yeah, the quality control really needed to be a bit better, at least on this particular unit. And again, as I said at the top, if I got this, there's a chance that you could have gotten it as well. And there's chances that there are others just like this floating out there on the market, sealed in that brown box. You're not going to see it until you open it. And then at that point, depending on the retailer, you may not be able to get any assistance there. But anyway, aside from those quality control issues, I do think that the sculpt is fantastic, but otherwise, I do think that the paint, even just beyond this, as you can see here, could have been tightened up just a little bit more. He moves. Mondo Gecko moves. All right, so we do have a double axis or barbell style ball joint for the heads. This is the alternate head for Mondo. You're going to actually see both of the head sculpts together in the next section. Once I swapped out the head sculpts, he sort of developed a little bit of a bobble. So I don't know if that was a matter of you do it once and then you stretch the hole and it becomes a little wider. But yeah, so he can sort of tilt the head forward and back a little bit, look down about that far, look up about that far, and obviously we can spin the head around, but he's not really looking up too far without that happening, and the ball joint for the joint in the neck popping out. So it's something to keep in mind. And look, there we go. Now, yeah, okay. So you can say that I did that myself. Let's say la vie. All right, so what else do we have? Well, we do have swivels. So pegs where the arms plug into the body, and they sort of cut up at a bit of a V. Okay, so, I mean, that's all right. Not a big deal. And he is going to be able to T-pose. Pretty cool. We don't have bicep swivels, even though this portion right here would have been a good place to put a cut. But we are going to have single hinge elbows, which are going to feature swivels, which is very good. Very good. Wrists, all of them are going to peg in, and they are going to feature hinges as well, which is very nice. We are going to have a waist swivel, so this way you can spin Mondo all the way around if you would like. Pretty cool. Hips, kick out that far forward. Can we kick back? Not really, which is a bit unfortunate, but we can kick out to the side about that far. And of course, we are going to have dedicated thigh swivels, which is great to see. We are going to have single hinge knees, which are rather stuck on that right one right now, but it is what it is. Rather good bend, I would say. And those are going to swivel as well, of course, which is great to see. Now, for the feet, the ankles, you may think, oh, those are big shoes, not going to be able to do too much, but actually we get some decent forward and back movement along with utilizing a rocker, which is good. Now, for the tail, we're effectively only going to get swivel movement with a little bit of micro adjustments on what appears to be a ball joint. Ball joint really isn't going to help too much, except for, again, just small micro adjustments. There is going to be a swivel at the tail, but due to the blue and the green being a big difference, it's going to stick out if you're one of those who likes everything uniform. So it's just something to really keep in mind there. And that's going to be about it for the articulation. So, yeah, overall, he can move. There are some points that, they definitely could have snuck in a ball joint or another swivel up here of some kind. And I don't really quite know why the neck articulation turned out the way that it did. I just suppose that that's going to be with the territory. Yeah, it is what it is. So overall, articulation is just kind of there. You can put him in some fun poses, but not really the most expressive figure that's going to be on the market. He's there. Yeah. Time to take a look at accessories, and if we kind of just take a step back and we look at things sort of objectively, Mondo Gecko doesn't really come with a whole heck of a lot. Some have justified this by saying that, we have Muckman in the wave and he's big, so yeah, that kind of compensates, but Mondo Gecko is going to come with the hand parts that you're going to be seeing up on the screen here, which, hey, those are pretty cool. As you saw already, he's going to come with an alternate head sculpt where the tongue is really sticking out straight forward, and he's going to come with his skateboard. Pretty neat. So here are just going to be some action shots for you. Not a whole lot to really show off here. Again, he's going to come with sort of splayed hands. He's going to come with sort of closed finger splayed hands, which are really cool. Default weapon holding hands. He's going to come with one left fist, and then the other, I guess they're calling it hang loose or shaka hand. Now, I totally get having the unique hands, but one thing that I really harp on for characters with interchangeable hands is having equal mirrored left and right hand. So if they're going to do one left hand, I definitely think they should do it for the right as well. Now, admittedly, this could go into skateboarding culture, California culture, I guess one might say, and that's only supposed to be with the right hand. But even still, general guy from, I don't know, New York, Maryland, Florida, they may not know that. And I don't know, maybe it goes into being ignorant or whatever, but I mean, let's balance things out. We could at least gotten a right fist. Anyway, the detail for the sewer skateboard looks very nice. I'm rather impressed by the decal, tampograph, whatever you want to call it here. And the cool part about this is I didn't expect this, but then once it actually happened, I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised they did this. The wheels actually move. So if you're going to put this guy on the shelf, I do recommend a support stand to hold him in place just in case your shelf decides to move. You don't want to have any shelf dives or roll-offs with this guy. So that's going to wrap up this section. I do want to reflect on what I said in the Donatello review, where Super7, I believe, does not have their own proprietary stands, so you're going to have to purchase one on the aftermarket. So Super7, maybe that's something to look into, to where you can just make one stand and include it for one figure in the entire wave of the Ultimates, because most folks, I would imagine, are going to pick up the entirety of the wave, just so this way they can reuse that stand. This would be the prime figure to include a stand with, or if they're just going to go ahead and make one stand for one figure, this one would definitely be it, especially because, as you can see, he's definitely a candidate for doing tricks up in the air. So if you do need a stand, I do have video all about support stands, and there are plenty that are going to be on the market. The NECA support stand would be rather good. Tamashi support arms definitely would be perfect for this guy. Whatever you would be looking to get, I got a video to help you out, along with different effect parts you might need, like Tamashi option wall. That would be great as well. Now here's going to be a size comparison with the entirety of Wave 4, so this way you get a good idea of not only how they all look together if you wanted them up on your shelf, but also how they look with some other figures, including with turtle figures from another brand, where there's a gentleman's agreement. Overall, I do think that they do blend in well within their own line, and kind of sort of depending on how you mix things up with some other companies. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. In terms of Sculpt, again, it is fantastic how much detail they were able to just cram into such a small canvas here on Mondo Gecko. For my particular unit, the paint, however, I do not know how this passed quality control. The articulation, I mean, yes, again, a smaller figure, and I get what they're talking about for going for aesthetics over engineering, but at the same time, you can't really move all that impressively compared to some of the other figures that are going to be in this lineup. And when it comes to accessories, objectively, he's rather light, though some justify it with saying we've got a really big figure in this wave, and then we have some other figures that do come with a lot of accessories. Generally speaking, I do think Mondo Gecko is not necessarily going to be the star of this lineup, and I personally do find this figure to be rather weak. If you are a fan of Mondo Gecko, you had the figure growing up, the original Playmates, then I definitely see this checkmarking all the boxes for you, and you probably already have this up on the shelf, and I don't understand why you're watching this video, aside from maybe just wanting to hear me ramble on for approximately 10 minutes. But if you're kind of in between and you're debating between this and maybe something else that's on the market, it depends on how much you want to spend, and if you just want to go ahead and complete the Super 7 lineup. Not saying it's a bad figure, but I have to say I wasn't quite impressed compared to some of the other offerings Super 7 has on the market.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.